Hey everybody, Eric Pate here, back with another video. As you saw the title of this video, yes, there was one time where a passenger became a crew member. Now, there was a special circumstance of why this happened. Was it because the pilots passed out? No, actually. Was it because, he wanted to become was it because he hijacked the plane? No. Let me tell you what happened. So it's July 19th, 1989. Just a normal day over the skies of Iowa, I believe was where the issue occurred. Just a normal day. Just a normal day in Iowa. I don't know how high they said the plane was. I think they said it was at 36,000 feet. 36,000 feet in the air. It's the United Airlines McDonnell Douglas DC-10 flying to Chicago. And then it's going to continue on to Philadelphia. The flight number was Flight 232. Just a normal routine flight. Everything so far looks routine. The plane's about halfway through the flight. Took off an hour before out of Denver. And then roughly about 3:15, an explosion is heard on the DC-10. Turned out engine number 2 failed. And the captain, Alfred C. Haynes, and Bill Records, and W. Dvorak, the flight engineer, was like, thought, oh, that was going to be the only problem. So they quickly shut down engine number 2 and thinking, oh, we're going to be okay. We can just have it looked at in Chicago. Well, little did they know that they actually had, when the engine blew, according to the air disasters, when the engine, in seconds from disasters, I can only get a link for the seconds of the disaster, so that's going to be the only one in the video, in the description of this video. So when the engine blew, it blew a hole in the elevators and in the rudders. I'm trying to figure out how did it cause damage to the flaps in the ailerons if they're both on the wings. I could be wrong. But anyway, when that happened, when the engine blew, after they shut down the engine, they realized, oh crap, we're in more trouble, because all of a sudden the plane just started banking right. It just started banking right. And the captain noticed, well, it was the first officer who noticed that he could not turn the plane. Because when the plane started banking right, the first officer, I believe, in the air disaster, they said the first officer was the one that was supposed to fly that leg. The first officer took his yoke and moved it all the way to the left to try to get the plane in like a not a side slip, but get it all the way to the left, so then they can try to level the plane back, try to level the plane off. Well, he was having no luck. So he asked the captain. He said, Al, I need your help. So the captain then tried his side, grabbed the yoke, and moved it all the way to the left. Well, it was already moved all the way to the left, because in a plane, when one of the yokes is moved, both yokes move do the same movement simultaneously. So he tried to see if the captain can try to get it under control. The captain was having the same problem, and that's when W. Dvorak, a few minutes before, W. Dvorak told him, hey, there is no hydraulics on the plane, in the plane. And, well, then so then the captain is like, well, we gotta do something or else 298 people are about, or is it 296? I'm not gonna care. I don't care what the count was, but I think it was 296 is what they said. But anyway, when they tried, so then the captain's like, alright, I have an idea, let's hope this works. So the DC-10 is a 3-engine jet. Let me go ahead and say something. I made a whole 20-minute video about it, so I'm just going to give a quick highlight of what a DC-10 looks like. So a DC-10 is a wide-body jet. I would say it's as wide as from, with my bedroom door open, from, I would say, like the fuselage is probably slightly smaller, but if I was to take a tape measure with my bedroom door open from where my cat litter box is to the other side, like the back of where my cat's litter box is, to the other side of my apartment, I would say is about how wide a DC-10 is. Just a fuselage. That's roughly about 20 feet. So it will have three rows. I've only been on planes with 2 rows. But its DC-10 has 3. Same thing with all the jumbos we have. But anyway, not important. But DC-10 also has 3 engines. 2 on the wings, and 1 on the tail. Now, if one of the engines fail, if one of the 3 engines fail, they can turn off the damaged engine and keep it flying. They can turn off the engine, just let air traffic control know that, hey, we're going to be a little bit slower going into Chicago. But they realized that, yeah, we're not going to go to Chicago when they realized that the plane was not turning. With commands from the flight stick, only with the engine. So what Alfred told his first officer says, hey, get your hand on the throttle for engine 3, and I get my hand on throttle for engine 1. Here's what we're going to do. I can show you more of what I'm talking about. Let's move my throttles to 50% here. So I want you guys to take a look at my throttle. This is my throttle quadrant I use for Flight Simulator. Okay, this is probably the best way I can explain this, is if I try to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Now, imagine, actually, I have it now. That's a second, guys. Better if I have all 3 of them set as the engine throttle. So just give me 1 second while I'll change my flap, the one I use for flaps, out real quick. So imagine this is the DC-10 throttle quadrant. Okay, I use the same handle I use for all 3 engines usually. Okay, which is the black ones on my throttle quadrant. Okay, again, engine 2's gone. Engine 2 failed, power shut off. I set these to 50% to help me, so then I could demonstrate a little bit better. Okay, so what the captain said. So the captain's idea that he got. Now, 17 years ago, before this, a plane almost had no hydraulics. Another DC-10 almost had no hydraulics when the cargo door blew out. Luckily, due to the quick thinking of that captain, until June 12th of 1972, this was never tried. But it worked out in the case of American Airlines Flight 96. So Alfred Haynes was told Bill Records to push engine 3 throttle because on the right side, because it was the right side, to make the right engine run faster. And then so then he was going to take power off of engine 1. Now, why was he going to do that? Because he can add, because if you reduce power to decrease power to engine 2, but increase power to engine 3. If you decrease power from engine 1, it will cause engine 1 to be heavier. Now, engine 1 is on the left wing. Like mentioned, the plane right wing was banking to the right. The plane was banking to the right. So adding power to the right engine and decreasing power to the left, what that was going to do was going to cause more weight to be on the left side of the stricken DC-10. So, but then they realized that they could only make right-hand turns doing that. Well, right after they leveled off the plane, Captain Haynes decided to call the senior flight attendant on duty for that flight, Jan Brown-Lore, into the cockpit, and he told Miss Lore that, hey, the plane is stricken. We're going to have to make an emergency landing. We're not going to make it to Chicago. You need to go tell we need to get the cabin ready. On this particular flight was a guy named by Danny Fitch. This is the guy that we've been talking about at the beginning of the video. I was talking about how he became a crew member on board Flight 232. This is how it happened. Danny Fitch informed... No, James Brown-Lore informed Danny Fitch... Danny Fitch told James Brown-Lore that, hey, the plane can still fly. Everything's going to be okay. The plane is still going to fly. And Miss Lore told Mr. Fitch, I just came from the cockpit. The pilots are having trouble controlling the plane. We're making an emergency landing. They're saying something about hydraulics are gone. So the first words out of Denny Fitch's mouth was, go back up to the cockpit, tell the captain, I am a DC-10 training pilot. I train people to fly DC-10s. I need you to go tell the captain, I'm a DC-10 training pilot. I'm willing to help any way I can. And Miss Lore went back to the cockpit, told the captain what Danny Fitch just told her. Hey, we have a DC-10 training pilot on board. Willing to help anyway. And the next words out of the captain's mouth is get him in here. And the flight attendant went to back to Mr. Fitch's seat. By the way, if it sounds like I'm saying the B word, I do apologize. But I'm saying Fitch with an F. So, real quick, if you think I keep saying the B word, I'm not. But if you think I am going to apologize. Anyway, back to the story. So, Mr. Fitch, he said the very second he got into that cockpit, it was not looking good. He said the first words, his first thought was, how are we still flying? He said his first thought, I think he said that was his first thought was when he went in the cockpit was, how is the plane still flying? So they divert, and so Mr. Fitch then asked, Cap, what can I do? How can I help? And they told Mr. Fitch to get on the throttles, which he did. And they just motioned with their hands on, the first officer and the captain motioned with their hands on which direction they wanted to go. And one of the words out of Mr. Fitch's mouth, like shortly after he started helping, was, you guys want a beer? Was like, hey, do you guys want a beer after this or something? And the captain said, I'm not much of a drinker. I will sure as shit have one after this. Anyway, approaching Sioux City, they're coming in pretty damn fast. They're going to go over 2 times the normal landing speed. Normal landing speed is roughly about 130 knots. I believe let's turn on my computer because I actually don't know how fast they were going. That's important. It was to probably know how fast they were going. But they were definitely going 2 times the normal landing speed because they also were trying to get the nose up. But right when the plane was about 100 feet off the ground, it banked right again. But unlike it being 36,000 feet in the air, I believe it was, there was no time to save this plane. The right wing smashed into the runway in flight 232. We'll use my razor. I have best thing I can use for reference to what I'm about to say here is my razor. Alright, so I need to show you guys a little bit of the table. Here, I'll hold my phone like, hold on, give me a sec. Alright, so this is the DC-10. This razor. Now, why am I using a razor again? It's the best thing I have that I can use for reference. Okay? So, after the right wing struck the runway, apparently, according to the air disasters, it did this number, like it flipped, and a giant fireball like this, did it like this a couple of times. No, it struck, went upside down, and then flew like this, and it split, I believe they said, 4 different sections. The cockpit, the fuselage, the cabin, and the tail section. Okay, so 3, I think. I swear, I thought I saw something that said that it split into 4 big debris fields. And the pilot, according to also the air disasters, the pilots were not found until like an hour and a half after the crash, but they were still somehow survived. Okay, so I'm typing Cough House was flight 232 going at impact. At final approach, the aircraft's forward speed was 220 knots, which is roughly 250 miles an hour. Now, typical. Okay, for some reason I thought it was faster than that. And the normal landing speed, I was correct. I was not off by much. I said 130 knots is typically the normal safe landing speed. But apparently it's 140 knots. But at the time of impact, it was going 220 knots. Apparently this was also the deadliest accident in United Airlines history. And I believe on impact they said that, okay, of all the passengers, okay, wait. So, okay. So I'm trying to look at something here. I'm trying to read something so then I can help you guys out a little bit here. So, I'm trying to figure out how many people died on impact. But the final, fatality count was 35 of smoke inhalation, 76 from other injuries, and then 1 died a month after. That was a total of 112 died total, but on July 19th, 111 died. I'm trying to figure out how many of those 111 died on impact. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I'm looking at the death count here. And 184 total people survived, and miraculously, 13 of those people had did not have an injury. Let's see. The plane was almost full. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 296 people. Add another 8. If the plane was full, it would have been 304. But reading more. I have a story pulled up from. Okay. This is the last part of the cockpit of the CBR from Flight 232. Records, close them off. Haynes, left turn, close them off. Records, pull them all off. Nah, Fitch, nah, I can't pull them off or we'll lose it. That's what's hurting y'all. Okay. Back out. Left throttle. Left. Whoop. The ground park's morning. The system. Whoop, pull up. Whoop, pull up. Whoop, pull up. Haynes, everybody stay in brace. Whoop, pull up. Haynes, God! And then sound of impact. I was corrected. It was 35 minutes after when the pilots were finally found. Still survived. Okay. This explains it a little bit more. So, I have a picture now pulled up of a animation. This is a DC-10. This looks a lot like the one that was involved in Flight 232. Okay? This is engine number 2. Engine number 2 is right here. Okay? So apparently all 3 hydraulic systems were in the elevators. And so when the engine blew, the debris went through the plane. So, anyway, I thought it was amazing though. They somehow kept the plane flying for 35, I think they said 37 minutes. Let's see. When did the engine blow? The engine blew at 37,000 feet, so I was off by 1,000 feet. At 3:16 was when the engine blew. They were having trouble for like 4 minutes, and then okay, I need to know what time did the wing hit the runway? Give me 1 second while I figure out what time that. 44 minutes. I thought it was 37, but apparently it was 44 minutes after the engine blew that the right wing of Flight 232. Actually, let's watch this together. I'm gonna thank Only Planes YouTube channel. If you do not mind using the next few seconds of your video here from the Seconds from Disasters of this. Also, thank you, shout out Seconds from Disasters from posting on YouTube, as letting people post your videos on YouTube. Now, this is a DC-10, this is a troubled DC-10 right here, okay? We're gonna watch this together. I thought they were still in the 3 o'clock hour when it happened, when it struck, but apparently I was wrong. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about that interesting story about Flight 232. Like, subscribe, comment, favorite, be nice, cool, be awesome. Everybody don't hate. See you later.